I'm very fortunate to have black walnut trees near my property. Now, these trees are common in the Midwest and eastern regions of the United States. And the fruit of these trees is what I'm after. Those fruits usually fall to the ground around late September, early October. But as you can see here, I can pull them directly from the tree if I get to them early enough. The walnuts have a strong smell of pine and citrus that I actually find very pleasing. Back at home, I lay the walnuts out in a plastic bag in my garage so they can ferment and so squirrels don't steal them. After about 1.5 weeks, the walnuts have fermented enough. I'm ready to start making ink. Now let me show you some of the tools I'll be using. I use a cast iron pot, a metal strainer, an induction cooktop, cheesecloth, a glass jar, plastic ladle, butter knife, rubber gloves, which are very important, wooden sticks, and a plastic funnel. I only need the husk or outer shell of the fruit. I don't need the walnut inside. It's also extremely important that I wear gloves, otherwise my hands will get stained yellowish brown, which is very difficult to wash out. As for the nuts themselves, I leave them out for the squirrels to take. They must love that I saved them the trouble of peeling off the husk. Every once in a while, I'll open a fruit and there will be maggots inside. These are walnut husk flies and are very common. Now, the best thing to do is open the fruit, set it down, and the maggots will actually wiggle away from the fruit on their own. And once they're gone, you can then use the husk. As you can see, not every walnut has maggots.
That's probably good.
Now, then it's just a matter of me peeling all the fruit to fill up the cast iron pot. I add water, making sure not to fill up the pot to the very top. You see what I was saying about the yellowish brown stain? You don't want this on your skin or clothes, so be careful. To bring this to a boil, I use a single burner induction cooktop. I like the induction cooktops because they are easy to clean and transport, plus it just feels safer not having an open flame. After just a few minutes, you'll see the husks are already starting to turn black. And you can see from my stir stick what color the walnut ink is starting to become. Also note that I am cooking this outdoors because boiling walnut husks will give off a very strong odor that I don't want indoors. After only 1 hour of cooking, the husks have turned completely black and the liquid is already darker. At this point, I test the ink on a scrap piece of drawing paper to see what I'll get. I like the color very much, but I want to get it a little bit darker, so I let the mixture continue to simmer for another hour. Now a lot of the water has evaporated, and by reducing this mixture, I will get a slightly darker brown ink. Another test, and I like the way this one looks. I scoop the cooked husks from my pot and strain them over a glass jar to capture the liquid. I also press down slightly on the husks to squeeze out the liquid. After that, the husks are discarded. Now I pour the liquid from one container into another, but this time through a double layer of cheesecloth. This filters out more of the soupy, gritty pulp. Now when the cheesecloth gets too caked with pulp, I replace it and continue. I run the liquid through yet another layer of cheesecloth while pouring it into my smaller bottles. This way I know I have filtered the vast majority of particles from the ink. Next, I add about 15 to 20% of isopropyl alcohol to my walnut ink. This is a step that does not need to be done, but I like to do it because it eliminates any mold that might grow in the ink. Now it's time for me to test my new ink. As you've seen me do with other inks, I use one of my templates to create various strokes, cross-hatched lines, etc. I make sure to try a few different tools to draw out the ink. But making marks on a test sheet will only get me so far in understanding how this walnut ink performs. So it's time to create a simple drawing to give the ink a real-world scenario. I am making sure to use a variety of tools and mediums in this drawing so I have a good idea how they will react with the walnut ink. Colored pencil, white ink, splattering the ink with a toothbrush, and even using a pen nib. Now, this isn't about creating a great drawing. This is about giving the new walnut ink a trial run and trying to evaluate it thoroughly based on ways I know I'll use it in future drawings. So that's a look at how I create my own walnut ink. Sure, it takes a day or two of my time to create the ink, and it may be cheaper, easier, and cleaner for me to buy a bottle of walnut ink from the store, but this is fun for me. It gets me out of my studio for a little bit, where I can enjoy more sunlight and fresh air, and I have pride knowing that I've made the ink I am drawing with. And that's pretty cool. Thanks for watching.